It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit, It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit, It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit, It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit,
What you will, these pictures have just come into Sky.
Well, a few minutes ago we showed you some amateur video footage.
In 7's World Watch, make what you will of these pictures, shot by an amateur cameraman in the English countryside.
En Avebury, in Wiltshire, tomado precisamente sobre los campos de trigo.
Dozens of people in Avebury witnessed the UFO, but was the carbon hoop and helium balloon believable? Did they really think it was an interstellar alien spacecraft?
I went outside, looked up, and there was literally like a black wobbling disc in the sky, and I thought, Christ, they have landed. Like,
it came right across here, and we stood out there and watched it. And I'd never seen anything like it in my life, ever.
Just come along and it would stop a little bit and then spin on its axis and then kind of float off, but it was a real sort of like loose movement to it, if you know what I mean.
Have you seen anything like that at all before?
Not round here, no.
I saw, well, flying saucers.
It cleared the car park quite quickly.
It was like a black ball. Yeah, it was like black on the bottom, wasn't it? And then it was like a silvery mist on top. It was like a silver underneath and a bubble at the top.
When it sort of tilted, it looked like it was stealth camouflage, like.
I think there's somebody in there, he reckons it's 100 feet across.
30, 50 feet.
Something in between. If it had been on the ground, it would have been quite big. Probably about 3 meters.
White at the top and the other one
There's a number one underneath it. We did see a number one. No, the man with the binoculars looked up and I said, what did you see? And he said, there's definitely a number one underneath it.
So 224, the CPA is going to be the front parking lot of South Central. The CP is in the South Central, confirming the Mandalay Bay and Alibaba and Giles are the 2 shooting locations. Do we have a third?
So we're getting over now, and now we're running across the street, and we hear shots coming from like Hooters, MGM area over there. There was shots coming from over there, and there was shots going from Mandalay Bay. Sorry, my brother's girlfriend's getting home right now. So shots were going from Mandalay. You know, they were really deep, really far, and then you can hear like a. Hey, Rocky. Shh. Shh. So we're hearing multiple shots now, and this is our first encounter to multiple shots, and we're running across the street, and there's a parking lot, Tropicana parking lot. So now everybody's going into Tropicana through this back entrance. We kind of had to jump down from a little wall, and there is an open door. There is the door open, and everybody's going up with their hands up. Both of your hands up. Everybody's walking through, and it's a hallway, and there's just hordes of people funneling into this room. This guy walked in, and he was very, very calm, right? So I'm under the impression this guy works here, and I asked him, first thing is, hey, can I go out that way? Because there was guys that were saying, go to the casino. Everybody go to the casino. And I was like, I don't want to go to the casino. There's doors right here. And if I can go out this way, I'm going out this way. So this guy walks in. I think he works there because he's wearing a black collared shirt. He has white lettering right here on his left side. And he wasn't wearing a hat. He wasn't wearing glasses. But he had short hair. He had thick eyebrows. And he was kind of like this color tone. He was a lighter brown. And he was very big, like a very muscular man. He had thick chest, thick arms. And so he walked in, and I asked him, hey, can I go out that way? And he goes, no, you need to go into the casino. You need to go in the casino. So he's kind of directing me now, and I'm like, hey, like, do you work here? So the guy with the suitcase, I tell him, do you work here? He says no. I asked him if I can go outside. He said no. I asked him if he worked there. He said no. I asked him what's in the suitcase. He said nothing. So I'm super, super, like, very very curious, and I want to know what's in the suitcase, because this guy is walking in when everyone is like freaking out, and he's very calm, he's collected, and he has this kind of demeanor like, oh, like he was just walking very calm, and something was wrong. I could tell something was wrong, and I didn't like it. I felt it was like a planned setup. And so I'm confronting him now, and I'm telling him what's in the suitcase, and another guy runs up, he goes, yeah, I'm with him. What's in the fucking suitcase? And the guy goes, okay. So he looks me dead in the eyes. The whole entire time, I kid you not, he looks me in the eyes, and he goes, he gets down. He's not looking at the suitcase, he's looking at me. And he's looking straight at me in the eyes, and he has a grin on his face, and he's ready to open up. And as soon as he's down and he's like at that point where he's about to open it up, shots fired in Tropicana Casino, and everybody's freaking out. And her and I, we heard them. They were like, they were totally different. They were actually ARs, and they were suppressed. And there were 3 bursts. 3 bursts inside the Tropicana Casino. People who were there inside will tell you that there was that, and that happened, and it was confirmed via those people that were in there. So the shots went off, and he ran into the casino when everybody was running out and trying to get to safety. He ran into the casino. He didn't open it. He just ran in there, and I feel like I held him back from what he was supposed to do. My gut is pretty. It had a strong feeling that something wrong was with this guy. So, or it could have been a Tech 9. Yeah, it could have been a Uzi. All I know is that the burst of shots were very quick, and they didn't last long. They were not 15 seconds long like the Mandalay Bay shooter was. They were very short bursts, and it was almost as if they just wanted to get a few shots in and then quickly get out, because they knew that police were going to be there like that, because everybody, I mean, the streets were filled with, they were on lockdown. Everything was done. So now we're running through this alleyway. There's an alleyway, and there's a fence with like electronic stuff in it, and then across from it there's a big industrial trash can. And then if you keep going down that alleyway, there's a parking structure, and so now we're running. And then what happened, babe?
There were shots.
There were shots? Where? From New York, Excalibur area. We heard shots and saw them, the muzzle flash, literally outside. It wasn't inside. It was not inside. It was outside. And the shots were coming, literally, they were going towards our direction, towards the parking structure at Tropicana. There was nowhere, I didn't want to run anywhere. And so helicopters are flying. There's 2 helicopters. The lights are flying around everywhere. And at this time, the shooter's already dead. You know, they had already announced that the shooter was dead. My dad texted me, said they got the 1 shooter, and they were still going around in the helicopters for hours. The whole time we were in the trash can, there was a helicopter flying around. And helicopter fuel is not cheap. It's very expensive. And I get it, yeah, our tax dollars pay for it, whatever. But why? Why were they flying, and why were they shining lights on like Excalibur, New York area? Because that's all we could see. We're under cardboard boxes, but we could see out of a little window, and the helicopter had its light, and it was going around Excalibur, New York area, like New York. And so if they only got 1 shooter, why were they flying around for the whole time while we were in the trash can? And I don't know when we got inside, further on in the story, once we went to the other place where we went to, I don't know how long they were flying, but if they were flying there all night, why? Why were they flying all night? You know, if they got 1 shooter and they knew it was 1 shooter right away, why were they flying the whole entire time? Their best, and they did a great job. So major props to the police officers there on site that night, because it was very hard to do the job that night. But that police officer directed us to go into Tropicana and that we would be safe in there. So we went in, and as we're walking to go in there, there's a bunch of people in there. Again, I still don't like groups of people, but we're walking through this hallway. We have to go upstairs Tropicana, past the casino, upstairs into like this. There's a long hallway, and there's floor to ceiling windows through this entire hallway, and the hallway feels like it runs forever. And on one side, on the left side, if you're walking straight to the back where they said that they wanted everyone to go to, which is where we ended up, As you're walking to the back to the left, you can see Mandalay Bay. I could see Mandalay Bay to the left in that little hallway in Tropicana, and then to the right you could see MGM. So I'm like, dude, this is a setup. Like, I was scared. I was obviously, you know, panicked, and I was freaking out. But why? Why would they get everyone into a room where there's no windows, but go through a hallway that's floor-to-ceiling windows, and you can clearly see MGM and you can see MGM and you can see Mandalay Bay. It was just so scary. I didn't like it. I told her, no matter what, stay low. Everybody's in there walking around. Some people are sitting down along the walls, and there's just people just standing like oh, like nothing just happened or anything. But like, dude, there's active shooters out there. Don't know where they are. They could be anywhere, you know. And yes, I did talk to the FBI. I'll get to that in a bit. So I was just totally scared about the whole thing, the whole ordeal. We finally made our way in. Everybody was funneling in. They had blankets, they had water, and we were there for hours. They didn't let anyone into their hotels because they were clearing every single room of every single hotel, which, by the way, if there's only one shooter, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that for? Why are you clearing every single room of every single hotel where there was active shooters? They were letting people go into their rooms at Tropicana because they had cleared every room there and it was fine. So we weren't staying at Tropicana, but then there was people that were waiting to go to Excalibur, people that were waiting to go to New York, people that were waiting to go to Luxor, people that were waiting to go to Mandalay Bay. There was people that were waiting to go to Delano. There was people that were waiting to go to MGM. There was people waiting to go everywhere, you know, but they only allowed Tropicana people to go up after being in there for an hour and a half. So they didn't allow us to go back to our hotel until 4:20 a.m. It was like somewhere around 4:20 a.m. It was a terrorist attack. It was a terrorist attack, okay? I just want everybody to realize what happened last weekend, exactly 1 week ago, was a terrorist attack. It was group organized, it was choreographed, and I don't want anyone thinking that it was a one-person shooter. There's no way in hell a 64-year-old untrained man can shoot an automatic military-grade weapon from a 34th floor at a declining grade and hit people, and bullets are going like this, not like this. I mean, there's bullets that were hitting people on the pelvic and everywhere. You know what I'm saying? There's a guy that made a video, said that the shootings were on these two buildings that were right behind the stage. I saw the muzzle flashes from Mandalay Bay, and I heard them coming from that direction. So, and yes, you guys have to believe there was not one shooter. It was multiple. Please take that with you. It was not one shooter. It was multiple. Yes, there were shots inside of Tropicana, and we heard them inside the casino area where they were directing everyone into. Different caliber weapons, yes. Now, there was either ARs or submachine guns that were being used on the ground with suppressors, so that we couldn't really know where the shooter was. All the gunmen that were on ground that I heard and that I saw were using suppressors. So I'm not saying I saw the suppressors. I'm saying that they had suppressors on them for the mere fact that they did not want to blow their cover when they were shooting, and it's hard to really dictate where the shooter is when they have suppressors. And these guys are not stupid. I mean, they pulled it off. They pulled this stunt off, and they're still on the run. I mean, they're smart. They're not retarded. They're not going to go out there and just shoot without suppressors and blow their cover. They were out there shooting with suppressors on the ground to mitigate and get as many people as they possibly could. They were just going for casualties. It was a number thing for them.
And after much debate, I've decided to make this video. The reason why I'm making this video is to give everyone my eyewitness account of what happened down at Planet Hollywood on October 1st going into October 2nd. So I'm sitting there, I'm just pushing a button, you know, on the slot machine, whatever, and then I hear gunfire. Now, I hear gunfire over the sound of the casino, which is, you know, a lot of bells and whistles because machines going off or whatever. There was music playing and people talking, so it was, you know, an elevated amount of noise in the casino, and yet I still heard these gunshots, and I mean automatic weaponry. Now let me stop here and say this. I'm from Detroit. I know gunfire. Unfortunately, I'm too familiar with it for that reason, and also because my ex-husband was a Marine, Camp Pendleton, 1st Maintenance Battalion during Operation Desert Storm, and I lived with him on Camp Pendleton at that time. I'm very familiar with gunshots, gunfire, ricochets, echoes, all of that. Also, my father was a police officer all of my life until he retired, and I know gun safety. I know how to clean them. I know weapons. Okay, I'm about to leave or move out of the area, and then much closer to proximity to where my body was, more gunfire, much closer. I would estimate it had to be within a half block of where I was. If you know gunfire, and if you've been around auto weapons, you know that you could feel that in your soul, for lack of a better term. It's a reverberation that you hear when, you know, one of those kind of guns go off, okay? So in that split section, I was already in the motion of getting up out of my chair. 50, 100 feet, maybe, at tops, between me and the door to the Strip via out of Planet Hollywood and the mall. I was right there. If you check on the maps, there is Yolo Mexican Restaurant and Earl of Sandwich right here in this opening, and then on the other side of that, there's the mall, and then there's the door. So people are starting to pour in. Okay, now chaos erupted immediately. All right, on the second round of fire. Everybody sort of stopped, stuttered, and paused. The first round of fire, I think they were all processing it just like I was. But the second round, unmistakable. Everybody split, like all different directions, running. I mean, leaping over tables, leaping over just everything. It was chaos. Okay, so I'm running and running some more. I'm trying to get to the right hand side of the wall. I run past the cashier's cage, and then I see a set of doors that say exit. So I bust through those doors, and then there's like some stairs, and I'm running down the stairs. More stairs, running down the stairs. There's a pile of people behind me. It sounded like a herd of elephants, a herd of buffaloes, but it was a herd of people. As far away as I could, as fast as I could from that sound. So I'm running. Come to a set of doors. It was like 5 or 6 doors, okay? Just a bay door. And then, you know, I hit the door, and I went out, and I stopped. And I looked, and I said, oh my God, this is leading back out to the Strip. So I look on the other side of the door, and at the same time, there was a guy next to me, and he was doing the same thing I was doing at almost the same time. We looked, saw that it was leading to outside. We didn't know where this shooting person was, where he was going. So we looked, and we shut the doors, but we still got all these people running behind us. So we turn around, we're waving like, stop, please stop. You can't go out these doors, don't go out these doors. So me and the guy explained to them that there's no handles on the outside of the door, so whomever is outside can't get in unless we let them in. And so he was scrolling and looking, and he was like, well, it says here there's one at New York, and there's also one at the Aria. And I was like, what? There's more than one of them? And he was like, that's what they're saying. I was like, oh my God. I said, well, what about down here with us? He was like, I don't see nothing. And he scrolled. He said, yep, they said at the Bellagio. They never said Planet Hollywood, but like I said, the Planet Hollywood and Bellagio are so close, I think that it was the same quote-unquote event. Planet Hollywood sent a security team to come and get us out of that basement, okay? It was 4 guys. They were armed. So they escort us all marching right back up all those stairs. This is when I realized exactly how far I've even run, okay? I was like, oh my God, I didn't even see this on the way down. But yeah, we ran quite a bit. So we get back up to the casino floor, and it's just eerie. It's totally silent. Nobody on the casino floor except for armed Planet Hollywood security guards, and they're posted ever so often. And the way that they were looking was, if somebody tries to come in here, they're gonna have a war on their hands. They were ready for something. We didn't know what, but they were ready for something. There was a lot of chaos that night. Okay, here's something that came through in the text messages from my brother. There was a bomb threat at the Luxor Hotel, and when that occurred, Homeland Security showed up. Now, here's what I find very, very funny about all this media coverage. Okay, everybody's talking about the LVPD and everybody's talking about the FBI, but I know for a fact Homeland Security was there and they were running shit. They were running everything. Okay, FBI wasn't there yet. They were not there. Homeland Security was there, and they are the ones who vetted the bomb threat out. Okay, I heard things, I saw things, and when I wake up the next day, none of that is a fact anymore. Okay, and not only that, people are acting like none of that ever happened. I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean it didn't happen? We're all here. We all know that it happened. All right. Why is the police saying that someone that got killed last night committed suicide this morning? Why is it that we had shots fired everywhere legitimately? Because I heard shots myself. So if somebody told me somebody shot down in New York, I'm going to believe that. Because somebody shot at me or near me at Planet Hollywood. I'm here to tell you to the extent to which you are being lied to. Everything that we know that night didn't exist the next day. I understand chaos in the moment. I understand confusion. But I heard radio chatter saying that they got a man down. I heard radio chatter that said that they said paramedics were being shot at the Tropicana. The whole strip on the other side of the street from Planet Hollywood was still locked down. The whole strip, as far as car traffic, was still locked down. There was no cars. It was a ghost town on the street. And everybody knows in Las Vegas is a whole bunch of Uber traffic and taxis and everything. Not that morning. They told us that the entire other side of the strip was considered a crime scene. All of it. From Mandalay Bay all the way down to the damn end. And they didn't let people go across that bridge to get there. We had to walk on one side of the street. Period. For hours. Until they decided that they were done doing whatever it was that they were doing over there. I was supposed doing those interviews with people or whatever. But here's another thing about that. I ain't seen no news media. I did not see one news truck. I did not see one CNN, one ABC, one nobody. No Fox, no nobody. Okay? They weren't asking us anything. They weren't interviewing us. I left $128 in that slot machine that I ran from. I did not run away from my imagination. Nor did I just run away from $128 for some, I think maybe it could have been firecrackers or possibly some shots somewhere stuff. No. I left money. I left food. They were shooting. Right there at the door at Planet Hollywood. I went to cash in my ticket at you know, you put them in this, like an ATM machine and they give you your money back. They didn't give me my money back. What the hell? I got to go to the cashier. So I go to the cashier. He looks at the timestamp, whatever. And so he asked me, were you here with all that went down last night? I said, yeah. He said, what happened? And so I told him briefly what had happened. He looks at the cashier next to him and he said, I told you so. So she looks back at him and says, well, why are they telling you guys not to say so? He was like, I don't know. I didn't say so. She did, pointing at me. So from that, I gathered that the employees that were even there at the time were threatened to keep their damn mouths shut. Period. Period. So then he says to me that he had a cousin who was security at the Harvest concert and who was injured, but he said that his cousin told him that there was a shooter in the crowd. Now, that's a whole lot of hearsay, but I had that hearsay less than so many hours after the event.